Good morning from Australia. Hi, David. Your show's ready to go.
Good morning, everyone, and a cool morning here from Queensland, Australia. It's a little grey. I'm looking outside. The window's open, so that's a good thing. The window's open because so often it's so hot here most of the year that the aircon's on, the window's closed. But my window's open. It's probably going to be a little bit noisier than usual, but I'm just happy to have some fresh air. It's about probably about 25 degrees in Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but probably about 75 or something like that. And hi from Florida, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So Todd Farrell, good afternoon from San Francisco. I've been to San Francisco and to Berkeley. I rather like Berkeley, and you have a beautiful bridge in San Francisco. When I was there, it was over Christmas. It was very cool on that bridge. It was rather cold on that bridge. I felt a bit cold. And that's what I was surprised by, how cold that bridge can get. And Stu is over in Florida. It doesn't get that cold in Florida. It's a little bit warmer than San Francisco. So opposite sides of the country. And we always discuss whatever's on our minds on this show, whatever's on my mind. And you're free to share in the comment section what's going on for you and your world, what your challenges are. We're here to discuss, to explore, to grow. Nobody knows all the answers, so we are all a work in progress. So have fun with that journey, because if you're alive, it means you're here to grow, you're here to develop. You're not all-knowing. So none of us are all-knowing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be coming to the show, and I wouldn't be here. So we're here to learn. Todd says it's cool most of the time. Yeah, so you go on the bridge, do you, Todd? Where do you live in San Francisco? I remember the trains. I think it was the trains. Yeah, the trains work quite well in San Francisco, and then you have those cool trams. But I seem to remember the trams are mainly for tourists. They're mainly just for show, because they look good in movies, and there were some great movies with trams, and great movies filmed in San Francisco with all those hills, and pretty exciting place to make movies. In the old days, I don't know that they're making any movies in San Francisco anymore. Muni trains and BART travels outside of San Francisco. Yeah, I don't know that you make films in San Francisco anymore. So something to shift, to put San Francisco back on the map, because I feel like it's been a bit off the collective agenda compared to when I was a kid. It felt like it was this grand, majestic, exciting place, and it was really more in people's minds and hearts. San Francisco. I guess the world has a lot of competition. And now a lot of people go to Thailand, a lot of people go to Dubai, for instance, the Middle East. Dubai has a lot of travelers, and other cities around the globe, of course. So I was thinking a little bit about maturity, spiritual maturity, and connected it to discipline, to understanding the state of the world, how many people seem to want everything now. There's a sense of selfishness, and we all have that to some extent, and we're all affected by what's going on around us. So we're not immune to that, although it's possible to be that way. I lived with a yogi once, and the yogi, she was extraordinary, because she was really separate from the world. She didn't use her phone. She was in bed by 6 p.m. Usually 5:30 p.m. she would be having a warm tea, just having a shower, just starting to really descend into sleep, and really retiring for the evening in the sort of 5:30 p.m. By 6 p.m. she was in bed. She had a candle, some incense burning, and it was a very holy existence, really dedicated to the practice of yoga, to the development of yoga, the understanding with yoga being that with the right mindset, your sleep time can be your yoga practice. So your sleep time can be your yoga practice, or part of your meditation practice. So Carlos, thank you for sharing, much appreciated. Carlos, and Todd is talking about cable cars in San Francisco. So I was thinking about this, this concept of maturity. Thinking about this lady who was up. She was up about 4 a.m. I think it was about 4 a.m. or somewhere around there, 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m. And she was practicing yoga, meditating, very busy with yoga. And it was just extraordinary how I was sort of tuned into the more mainstream of the world, which is sort of up into the dark hours, 8, 9, 10 p.m. 8 p.m. is early for most people. And she was already sleeping. I mean, 8 a.m. was like 2 a.m. or something. It was like the middle of the night. 8 p.m. was she was sleeping, and up so early, so really in tune with nature, but even to the extent of practicing yoga in the early hours of the morning, when the world is much more calm, the energy is much more calm, there's more of a spiritual opening happening. That's the traditional knowledge of the moment before dawn, before the sun starts to rise, is a very still portal for awakening, for meditation to go very deep. And so I do believe in these patterns, in these approaches to life. It does require discipline, and that's something I do struggle with. I'm not always, I'm sort of not always the most disciplined, and I have issues with the environment around me, because I live in a neighborhood where people are often up 10, 11 o'clock. They're still up, and that does affect me. I'm very connected to the environment around me. So having a sense of discipline is very important, but also the environment you live in is hugely important. Who's around you to support your practice. But this person I'm talking about, Yogi, we'll call her Yogi Tina. Yogi Tina, she was up. She was in bed super early, up super early, practicing yoga, which is a beautiful practice. And I practiced and taught yoga over time. Since my injuries, I sort of took a step back. I do a bit of yoga, not a lot, but I do appreciate the practice and respect it a lot, and encourage everyone to go into that path. But we're talking more about how most people are not are living a life of where entertainment and relaxation is very important, and the dedication to spiritual ideals, spiritual goals is maybe quite small. Some people, they'll maybe go to church on Sunday, and that will be their practice for the week. So how does maturity play out in your life? Do you feel like you're able to make mature choices with your health and wellness, with your mental health? Or do you feel like you're sucked into the attractions of the world that pull you in all sorts of media, Instagram. It's constant stream of entertainment that distracts us. We live in this perpetual 24/7 world where distraction is everywhere. It's constant, and we really need to separate ourselves and discipline ourselves and have clearer boundaries around what we allow in. And for me, I would like stronger boundaries. I would like more dedication to the spiritual path, because sometimes I've been in really wonderful environments where it's been a natural current that continues in me, that is very into softness, into stillness, into compassion, gentleness, insight, which is supported by the environment. But in this Western world type environment, it's people living in cities. How do you structure your life, your discipline, to create a mature perspective of the world where you're not sucked in by the news, by the media, where you have clear boundaries around what's important and what you value? So that's just my thoughts about these issues. It's a broad topic. What practices do you have that support your growth, that support your ongoing healing, and support living a mindful life? Is that your goal, to live a mindful life? What is your goal? For me, I sort of see myself living between two worlds and enjoying aspects of both of those two worlds, and wanting to embrace both worlds, and not wanting to live in a monastery at the moment. But maybe one day that will change, and I will want to just focus on the spiritual path and be in a monastery type environment. And matters of the heart, how does your connection to your heart play out in your life? Because I feel like the more distracted one is, the less tuned in to one's heart one becomes. And I'm curious how your heart actually feels, and when do you really tune in to feel your heart energy? When do you connect to your heart energy? When does that happen? How does that happen? Does it happen? Is it a moment of stillness? When we think of something we want, something that we would like to improve about ourselves, how much energy do we put into it? Stuart says, I've been trying to become more spiritual. The world influences can be a struggle for me. And Stu, you're not alone. I feel like most of us are in the same, that we're the same. We're caught up by the influences. It's very hard to create an environment that is conducive to spiritual growth. If you live in, say, San Francisco, where Todd lives. And Todd, I must admit, I'm a new junkie, but the world can certainly be depressing. I'm doing more self-help and seeing therapists lately. So that's wonderful, Todd. And we all on this journey together, although it may not always seem so. And no one is, it may seem some people know a lot, and some people do know a lot, but they're still human bodies. They still have their own challenges, and they still live in the same place. They breathe the same air. So I know people have, in traditions, they put people on a pedestal, and they thought someone was some sort of prophet, some sort of guru. But now we live in a different world where we realize that that's a bit empty, and we're all being called upon to step up and rise up and become this soul authority that we are destined to become, this empowerment movement that says that you are empowered to be and do anything in your life, in the world, as a human being. That is enough. You are a human being having a human experience, and that means you are enough. and there's no one above or below you. You are enough as you are. So Todd is a news junkie, and news does entertain. That's all for news. The news nowadays, it's all about entertainment, often shock value, but essentially it is addictive, and that's why you have that, Todd. It's very common that people have this addiction to the news. For me, I'm sort of compelled. I sort of find some YouTube people compelling. So I'm sort of you could call me a YouTube junkie. Some of the people are very high level, I believe. So I choose who I listen to, but some of it is just sort of kind of stuff that comes up on my YouTube feed. So I'm also sort of sucked into that same wave, Todd. It is a wave, and it's so important that we have time where we separate, and sleep time is a good opportunity to create a filter, to create a bubble, to create something that is silent, quiet, preferably no electricity, no lights, very clean, pure environment around us. So that's really the opportunity and the invitation and I encourage everyone to consider that carefully, to create a space, a holy or sacred space around you for sleep. So at least that environment is quiet, is clean, is purifying. And everyone has had challenges and does have challenges. So Jennifer, I took a break from the news cycle, and that's fantastic, Jennifer. For me, it's not something I'm interested in, so I'm not really following it. But as I said, I do follow certain people who commentators on YouTube. I follow some commentators, so certain things come up. So I'm choosing mindfully more the content that I want to take on, but also for me, I have the same challenges as you. And Jennifer, that's great that you were able to take a break, and we just don't need the news cycle. We really don't. There's no aspect of our life that is helped by this news. Absolutely none of it. The one thing that is helpful, depending where we live, is weather reports, where we can tune into if there's a storm coming, something like that. So that is useful. So there are apps, for instance, that are weather apps that give us storm warnings. So it's all about using technology for the wisest possible stream, and not rejecting technology completely, although that is a path certain people take, which people have always taken that path of asceticism, of letting go of all worldly concerns, or disconnecting from the earth or from the planet as it is, the human communities. And there's a tradition in many of the religions to have these separations, these isolated communities of monks or nuns or whatever it may be, separated from the world. And so the separation was really highlighted, and very important for spiritual growth to be away from the world. So I've met people, for instance, I'm thinking of one man I met who spent 4 years in a cave. So he was meditating in a cave, and there's a tradition in Tibet and in Asia of people spending sometimes their whole lives meditating in caves. So the caves are, of course, these dense rock structures that very much remove the earthly activities and cycles. So energetically, it creates creates a sort of seclusion, a cocoon where people can meditate and work on their spiritual growth. So really interesting to be someone who went in a cave and spent 4 years in the cave. So extraordinary that people are still doing that and are able to refrain from worldly concerns and enter into that environment. And in the Buddhist tradition, to become a monk is to remove one's worldly concerns. So our physical clothes, monks remove the hair from their head and move into communities that support them, where they can meditate. I've spent time myself with various monks in various different communities, and I found certain monks were more, like any community, more dedicated than other monks. And there was one monk in particular who had a very worldly existence. He was kind of one of these entertainers, at the casinos, the big Macau, I think you mentioned Macau, which is in near China. It's an island where they have a lot of casinos. It's very it's very popular amongst the Chinese, and he was performing. So through the night, he would be up performing, entertaining people, singing. He was a musician, but his lifestyle was included a lot of alcohol, a lot of indulgence, and becoming a monk was a complete change, was complete transformation, was shifting into a completely different reality. So he felt he had done that chapter in his life. He had completed that cycle. He had completed that path, and it was time to heal his soul and to forgive his behavior. He felt guilty over his behavior, how he had behaved. He felt that was not bringing goodness into the world. All the alcohol and all the partying and being in that environment for so many years. He wanted to purify his soul. But you can imagine the contrast between being some kind of entertainer and these big casino stages, and he said alcohol was a big issue. He was always, all the guests were peppering him with alcohol, and he would sit with them, and they would buy him drinks, and he was compelled to partake in that. He was part of that. I left out drugs, so there was also a lot of drugs in this murky world, but I don't know too much. I haven't been there. I wasn't part of it, but I'm just thinking about his perspective and where he found this temple in a very remote part of Thailand, and he had a very beautiful little secluded kuti, like a little it's almost like a tent, but a small little dwelling, like a little hut. And it was actually very beautiful in nature, overlooking a valley. Very beautiful, peaceful place. And that was where he had decided to live out his time on earth, live out his years. And he was one of my teachers, and part of the teaching was to break away, as Jennifer says, breaking away from the news cycle. He was breaking away from his life completely, and it was about redemption, about transformation, about a total world change into new way of being, a new way of living. Although he was carrying some of the struggles from the past and the energy of the past with him, he was consciously changing, and he consciously wanted a more spiritual life, a more pure life. And he was done with all the parties, all the drugs, sex, rock and roll, whatever it was. He was done with all of that, and he wanted to. He was purifying his mind. So teachers, they don't necessarily have pure pasts, and no human being necessarily has a pure past. It doesn't mean they're not worthy. It doesn't mean we can't learn from them. And there are traditions in certain religions of people having massive shifts, being thieves or even worse, and becoming redemptive figures of transformation and healing. So we are all invited to make a change in our life. And coming back to some of the talking points from previously about maturity and how, as one gets older, one starts to see the world perhaps in a more nuanced way, less black and white. One starts to see more of a plurality, more of a plurality. Sorry, I did that again. Plurality. Oh, that's a real struggle for me today. What's going on with me? Plurality. All right, plural. I'll just write it down. Collective consciousness that pervades our existence. This is a kind of energy that is around us, that is alive. It is vitality. It is a vital force. It is a connection to sacred energy, to divine energy, to that which we call source energy, the creator of the universe, which is part of this creation, alive within each one of us, from a murderer to a saint. That energy is within each one of us, and there is a polarity on this planet, and so we have these abilities to. Every human has ability to create and destroy and create, and even physiologically, we have that ability to create and destroy, to love and to hate. So we are these interesting beings that are living in this polarity, and this is alive within the world, alive within us. Now, because I have the ability, say, to do something terrible, I don't know, like, I'm just thinking, oh, never mind. I won't even it's not positive to go down a negative portal and share that with the world. So I'm just thinking what I could be capable of, but you can imagine for yourself, because I have two hands. So these two hands can do all the good, all the bad of whatever anyone else has done in history. So we have that ability to create goodness in the world and to create the opposite of goodness. Now, because we have that capacity, that potentiality, doesn't mean we have to carry it out, of course. I'm not promoting that you do anything that's outside of goodness. I'm promoting the mature perspective and understanding that these polarities do exist. So not denying them, like not saying it doesn't exist. And Stu is always he's very honest, and he's very authentic. He's always here, and he's always saying, I have struggles, but I'm trying. And that's all we're here, that's all we can do. Struggles exist because we have this force within us that you just see the wars going on, this force within us that can destroy. We have these hands that can make guns, that can make bullets, that can make atomic bombs with this intellect. So we have these awful this polarity that sends us down an awful web of destruction, which can be self-destruction. We often have that within us that is self-destructive. So these are polarities within us that we express in the world, and it comes from internally, our own worldview. But because we have what I'm getting to, because we were able to do something, it is a potential, but as we mature, as we evolve, then it doesn't become a choice anymore. It's not something we give energy to. It's something that sort of dies away with time. It sort of ebbs away and disappears. But it doesn't mean we don't live in a polarized world, because we are in this 3D world. But the more we harness our mind, the more we harness practices like yoga is a good example. The more we practice yoga, the less we give energy to the darkness, the less we feed the shadow, because we're feeding the positive part of ourselves, our potential. We're feeding that. We're doing by doing positive things. So embodiment is really important. And it doesn't mean we're never going to have some desire. It's the same with food. I think a lot of us, this is an analogy for life, really, that we have. We know that a lot of the foods, or pretty much anything in a package, is bad for us. Anything in a supermarket is bad for us, pretty much. We know that, but yet we often surround ourselves with those influences, with those bad things. We have it in the pantry. So obviously, if it's in the pantry, you're putting temptation on your doorstep. It's there, and then you're feeding it when you give into that. So we all have these natural tendencies, and some of them are good and some of them are not so good for us. So it is important to break cycles. For instance, clean out your pantry, not just from a physical perspective, but from a spiritual perspective. If it's made from a plant, put it in your mouth. If it's made in a plant, avoid it. So that's a really good message, Todd. Really true, very true. But we can keep really simple philosophy like that, just with mindfulness, with where you choose to shop, with going back to nature, getting most of your food from a farmer's market, or from farmers, or from growing it yourself. So that's a positive trajectory that we're on in the world, that people are going to be growing their own food and putting energy into how to grow our food, and less reliance on these huge manufacturers or plants, as Todd says, these huge industrial operations. That's shifting. We're becoming self-reliant, independent, and that's a state of maturity that I've been talking about. The state of the world moving into more of a mature perspective on what is real, what is needed, what we need as a human being and as a planet. Less reliance on the government. So that's another tendency, that's almost the immaturity versus the maturity, the irresponsibility versus the responsibility. So the goal is not to rely on the government. The goal is to be independent and sovereign human beings. And I'm just writing that down. Independent and sovereign. So therefore we don't need the government. So part of the dependency that's going on at the moment is that telling people that they're victims and they need the government, and then employing more and more people in the government. It just creates a strange, unhealthy system of big government, and really helping the people who are working in the government, but not helping the people that the government is serving. Because when you tell people they're victims, treat them like victims, teach them that they're victims, it's only hurting those individuals, those people. So build up yourself and build up other people. Teach a man to fish. So there's a saying about fishing, giving fish to people, fish to starving homeless people, for instance, give them a fish, that's helpful. But the most helpful is teaching them how to fish, teaching them independence, teaching people independence. So that is the way the world works, the way this reality is structured, this 3D reality is structured like that. That the more we grow, the more we are, much like a seed that needs soil, needs water, sunshine to grow. And the stronger that plant is, the stronger that plant is growing, then it's able to become an apple tree, feed other people, feed generations of people. It's able to cope with the wind, it's able to cope with the storm. But that tree, if you throw the government on the seedling and say it's vulnerable, we're gonna pour this on it, pour that on it, it's just gonna wither and die. So we need to build up, see each human being as a you could see each human being as a potential tree, and that's really important to grow the independence within you and within other people. If someone is starving, by all means give them a fish, but in the long term, it's most important to teach them how to fish, to teach them independence, to teach them how to be sovereign, to teach them how not to be dependent on the government. And these are mental, spiritual protocols that really affect people when they believe they are small, when they believe they can't look after themselves, they can't take responsibility. So responsibility is really important, and it's part of maturity. Being responsible means to be mature. Being mature means to be responsible. We're responsible for our own welfare, responsible for the welfare of each other. And we live in this co-creative sphere, this co-creative arena of polarities. So polarities exist, and that's okay. It's not okay to feed the polarity, to feed, you feel like having an ice cream and just being, just have an ice cream, because that's weakness. And we need to have a bit of a middle way between strength and letting go. So standing up for something, having boundaries, and then having an ice cream. So having anything with sugar is not good for your body, so avoid it. But if it's your birthday, then by all means enjoy yourself. So just boundaries around our health, our gut health, our microbiome, our well-being. So we need boundaries. It doesn't mean we're never going to enjoy our birthday. It just means for the rest of the year, avoid all the junk, avoid all the trash. And Todd, I really like, if it's made from a plant, put it in your mouth. If it's made in a plant, avoid it. And responsibility. So we can do some readings. Feel free to comment if you are online and you do want a reading. We'll pick a card for you. I've probably talked too much today, but thank you everyone for listening and for being here. And welcome to Todd from San Francisco. Linda is, where are you, Linda? Setterfield. Where are you, Linda, in the world? So welcome to Linda, and we can get some insight. Todd, let's pick a card for you, Todd. And Todd he's really got a good mind, a good energy. You've got a good energy in that mind, so use that energy, Todd. Remember to nourish that energy, and like a seed that needs the right soil, needs fertile soil, that needs sunshine, water, all the basic elements for life. So Todd has that potential in him. Definitely has the potential, Todd. And you have the potential to happiness and the potential to spirit. So I feel the spiritual world is opening up for you. It's talking to you, because that's the card that's popped out. It's everything is about opening up. So all the cards are about opening up, and it's not just physically, it's spiritually. So there's this portal of consciousness, spirit connection. So you're going to be getting something in your sleep that's going to be knocking on your mind while you sleep. It's going to be like a message coming through from spirit and bringing you new ideas, new inspiration, new connections, intuition. This is coming through for you. So that's exciting, Todd. This connection to spirit is coming through, and that's up to you what you do with it, what you make of it, how you enjoy it, how you process it, how you see it as a beginning, how you see it as a new way to be, a new way to live, to see your life in a new perspective. But this is definitely a growth time where there's new beginnings, and they're bringing you messages. So that's going to help you understand yourself, understand the world, understand what some of the topics I've been talking about, understand them deeply, open up the source to all value and power in a way. So you're being opened up to something beyond this earthly orbit, this earthly 3D world, into something that's expansive. And that expansiveness means unlimited potential, limitless potential. Some of these words in English, I don't know why we have unlimited and limitless. I prefer limitless, actually. But anyways, limitless possibility in a spiritual sense. So that's all out there in the universe. And we know that from quantum mechanics, or even from the atom bomb. We know that splitting an atom creates this charge that can create an atom bomb, or create a nuclear fission, nuclear explosion. So we know, just from a physical perspective, the energy that can be released from something very small like an atom. So there is this amazing energy within us. So, and the amazing energy spiritually. So it's not just fancy talk. It's something that is true. That is actually true. And you are going to have increasing spiritual power and able to take this step into a deepening connection to the spiritual world, which brings more maturity, guidance, inspiration, and healing. So it's up to you, Todd, how you navigate this doorway. But I'm seeing a lot more happiness. So it feels like this is opening up much more fulfillment, and it's a harbinger for positive changes in your life. So it's almost like the rainbow is going to open up in your life and bring you a sense of inner resolution, inner healing, inner peace. So this is appearing as an opportunity, opening up for you, growing your possibilities, allowing you to see new insights, see the way and see the world through new eyes, through renewed eyes. So Todd, it's wonderful you're on the show, wonderful to connect to you, and thank you so much for being here. If anyone does want a reading or has a question, I can answer questions. Of course, I'm human, so I may not have I don't have all the answers. I certainly don't have all the answers. I'm here to learn as well. And part of being alive is to learn. So if we're alive, we're here to learn. So nobody knows everything. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. So we are here to learn, and that's it. The fact that we're here means that we are here to learn something. And it could be about ourselves. It could be about other people. And ultimately, you're the greatest arbiter. You're the greatest judge. You're the greatest resource for yourself, the greatest connection, the greatest source of being. Because you are the source of being. You are it. It's all you. So let me know, anyone who wants a reading, who wants me to pick a card. I am online, and Todd had a reading. If you just want me to pick a card as well, let me know. Otherwise, what we'll do is have a quick meditation whilst we are all here in this moment. If it's safe for you to meditate, you can always come back to this show afterwards, closing your eyes, preferably connecting your feet to the ground, to the earth, and upright back with a relaxed body, relaxed hands, relaxed arms, finding a comfortable position, and now finding a more comfortable position. So just adjusting your posture so it's even more supported and your body can relax, feet connected to the ground, taking this time to get more and more settled in our meditation position. Allowing a moment of stillness, a moment of spaciousness to fill your being. Invite in this pause through becoming conscious of deepening your breath. And fill your consciousness with the feeling of your breath. Immerse yourself in the consciousness of breathing, of being inside the breath, not just breathing, but allow the air to be breathing you, to be inside the consciousness of the breath. Explore relaxing your body as you place your energy on your breath. I invite you to also consider the possibility of having a relaxed mind, a relaxed brain, as you enjoy this effortless feeling of breathing and being aware of your breathing. Enjoy that. Just observe how your mind may have wandered, Bring it back to your breath consciousness, to the flow of breathing. Enjoying this space and spaciousness. You are an invitation to inner peace. Accessible always with this deepening of the breath. Taking these soul breaths deep within you and letting go of the rest. Remember who you really are, who you truly are at your source. If you would like to stay in meditation, you may, or return after the completion of this show. For those who are following me, you may stretch out your body, move your hands, move your fingers, and come out of meditation in your own way. Allowing the light in and the refreshment in. Taking a deep breath. And welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you for meditating. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Please do leave your comments in the comment section. Follow me on YouTube. You can also donate to the show and share the show. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Stu, for your beautiful message. And much love to all of you out there in the world. And have a beautiful evening, a beautiful day. I wish you a namaste, a peace, and many blessings. Thank you.